And it's been said that the beginning is the most important part of any work, especially in the case of a young, tender thing. Now, who said that? You would think that would be a current psychologist like Howard Gardner, perhaps. Well, it was Plato, and he said it in 300 BC. We've always known that the beginning of any endeavor is the most important part. Parents also understand how complex it is to teach pre-K and kindergarten. Well, if parents can imagine a doctor, lawyer, or dentist with 20 people in the office at one time, all of whom with different needs and some who were immature and restless, and had to treat them all with professional excellence and provide many life skills, then they might have some idea of a pre-K and kindergarten teacher's job. Teaching young children, in my opinion, especially kindergarten, is the hardest job in the world. And why is that? Because the kindergarten teacher especially has to do two things, folks. She now has to teach a certain skill, or in some cases, certain skills, by a certain time in the school year, while she is dealing with what we call wide variation in children's development. And what do we mean by wide variation? Well, a little metaphor. Wide variation means that young children are like snowflakes. No two are alike. Let's take the average age for walking. We know that the average child walks at 12 months. But did you know that 50% of children walk before 12 months? They may start as early as 8 months. And 50% walk after 12 months, right up to maybe 16 months. But they all walk at some point, right? If we look at the kindergarten teacher in her kindergarten, she deals with this 3 years of variation every day. For example, first day of school, kindergarten teacher is at her door. In walks a child who has an expressive vocabulary of about 800 words. And this particular child is not interested in reading or listening to stories. And the teacher says to him, you know what we're going to do today? We are going to look at the difference between the B and the D. And this kid doesn't really like that too much. He starts backing up and he says, I'll be with the Tonka trucks, call me for snack. That's the first child. The second child walks in. This child has an expressive vocabulary of 8,000 words. This kid's reading with comprehension at a second grade level. Fortunately, the teacher has a reading center right in her classroom with about 300 books. He jumps on a beanbag. He's good for a few hours, just reading on his own. She's got to deal with that child, right? The third child walks in, a little girl, and this little girl picks up a pen, and she says, an instrument of communication. She takes lined paper, she writes her first and last name in upper and lowercase letters in between the lines. Wow. Behind her is a little boy. He comes in and picks up the same pen. He doesn't say an instrument of communication. He says, and to him this is symbolic play. Kindergarten teacher is dealing with that child. Then we have another girl comes in. We call her the February girl, because she turned 5 in February. It's now September. She's 5 and a half, going on 35, if you know what I mean. This is a child who comforts the children who are crying. And at the end of the week, she goes up to the kindergarten teacher, puts her arm around her and says, you know, you're doing an excellent job. Very, very mature child. And of course, behind her is the September boy. We call him Skippy. Skippy is entering kindergarten at 4. He's going to turn 5 in mid-September or so, right? Skippy could have been in that movie called Clueless. You see that movie called Clueless? Because he really doesn't have a clue. He's a bright kid, but first of all, the teacher can't even find him half the time. He's in the closet. He's under the table, you know. And one day he was pasting pictures, putting his finger in the glue and putting it on the back of pictures and creating a collage. And the girl next to him put her finger in his glue, and he had a meltdown on the floor crying for about 10 minutes. Skippy, 5 years old, going on 4, what we call a late blooming child. And the February girl and Skippy are in the same classroom. So the kindergarten teacher has 3 years of variation in this room, and she's got to respond to all of those children with professional expertise. Not an easy job.